Good day, virtual airline pilots. Today I'm going to show you a flight planning software that will help you determine the correct loads for your aircraft. This will also record all of your flight data for each one of your flights. Let's just move right into this. Right off in the first column here, a lot of these columns are very self-explanatory, but I'll just go over a few of them here because some of them can be a little bit confusing. The first column we have here is our aircraft. If you click on the box, you'll see a little drop-down arrow show up here to the side. And drop-down allows you to select through any of the Alliance Airways aircraft that is in our library. Now, with that being said, any additional payware, freeware aircraft can be added to this, and I'll go into that a little bit later on. Okay, so we've got the A320 currently selected, and we can see as soon as we select any of our aircraft, all the data across the top here switches. Let's go right back to our A320. It's a common aircraft for everybody. You can see the max fuel load is 5.5 hours. It gives you the fuel weight, maximum passengers, that's key. Empty weight, max weight, maximum payload. Okay, so it gives you all the data on each one of the aircraft without you having to look up the pilot operating handbook for each one of them, so it's all at your fingertips. Next we have the departing airport. And with the departing airport, we can change the airport to, I think we'll take Toronto for instance, CYYZ, just like that, hit enter, and you'll see up at the top it comes up at Toronto International Airport, Pearson, and it also gives you data down below here. It does currently give you, it's starting to give some information on the runways, but that's a brand new feature and that will take a long time to get all this data put in, as I'm just starting to do that, and that's all manually. It's just done one at a time. So just bear with me on the runway features as that comes up, but let's go back. Let's say put Boston back in here, and you see the runways change again for Boston. I don't know, as I said, there's only a few of them in right now, but I'm working on more later. It also it gives you field elevations in some of the airports. If any of the information is missing in here, I'll go over later how you can help submit that information. But moving on down to the next boxes, and you'll see the left and right columns that they do correspond to one another. You've got SIDs and stars right next to one another. It's again just for a place for you to record your SID, the name of your SID, and the name of your star. You can put them in there. Keeping in mind that everything on this page is completely optional. You can use as little as you like or as much as you like. You'll find that if you put your cursor over the titles here, it will give you what each one of these boxes are for and the format to put them in. Okay, so moving on down, you put your departure time, your departing runway, departing gate, departing altimeter, departing winds, and that format is in such as a 160 degrees at 6 knots, like so. Departing field elevation, again, if the information is available, and I've gotten to doing it, keeping in mind there's thousands of airfields that do not have the information in here, and you can help with that. And I'll go, as I said, I'll go with that later. Departing ATIS is put in the initial headings, always good to put that in, and make sure that you're pointed in the right direction. When you go on your runway, when you're going down the runway, it should be in the same direction as the runway you're on. I've went over these. These show up automatically again with just by these two here. Going down this, the alternate is straightforward. Alternate airport. Estimated time of arrival, you can always put that in. If you know it's a 3-hour flight, you can put your guesstimation in here. Arriving runway. Arriving runway, you will probably know when you get about an hour away from your field. So if you're taking a 4-hour flight, you typically wait for about an hour before you determine what runway, or because winds will change inside that time. Arriving gate, arriving altimeter. Let's see here, arriving winds. So we got departing winds, arriving winds are side by side. Again, you'll probably do that when you're about an hour out. Arriving field elevation comes up automatically by typing in the KDFW here. And same with the ATIS. Arriving ILS or LOC you can put in there, you can enter that in. Let's see here, going up to the third column. This is your flight altitude, flight distance, and nautical miles goes in this column here. Fuel request, good thing to put the fuel request in here. If you put the fuel request as you want 4 hours or 3 hours of fuel, you typically will not run out of fuel. It just makes you think about it. So, oh yeah, I've got to go put the fuel in this vehicle, in this plane. Estimated flight time, that works along with the estimate time of arrival. That's sort of get you guessing about when that plane's going to arrive, and once you do this often enough, you can find that you can probably nail it down to the first to a couple of minutes when you're going to arrive. Moving down to the next box. This is your actual block time. The actual block time is what comes from your ACARS report at the very end of your flight. That's the box that pops up. It would also be the same as your duration of your flight would be the block time. Actual time of arrival would be the time of day, airspeed in knots, ground speed, self-explanatory, arriving runway length. If you're a pilot that likes to fly down in the islands, and would be good for you to have this entered in. You might find yourself landing on a 2,000 foot runway, that would be 738, and you'll be going for a swim. So if you know the runway or the potential runways that you're going to be landing on, making sure that that one runway is long enough for your aircraft. Gear down and approach speed, they all come from the aircraft and are automatically put in. If I have the information, those fields get populated automatically. Approach weight, again, that's your option, especially if you're a cargo person, might want to know that. Moving on to this last column. This column is the column that calculates all your weights for your aircraft automatically, because we do find there's lots of pilots that are putting in the wrong passengers or the wrong cargo, and this will do this automatically for you. Keeping in mind at the end of each column there's little green markers or red markers. All the green markers you're able to enter, and the red markers are ones that you don't touch because they're calculated fields. Okay, so let's start off with this aircraft that we've got. We know we have 150 passengers, so let's put in 135 like so, and you notice all the numbers start to change. We know with 135 passengers, we look over at our chart, we see we have 5 crew. Let's put in 5 crew here. Fuel, we're going to take a 3-hour flight in our A320, and we'll just jump over here. This is X-Plane. 3-hour flight is 22,815 pounds of fuel, so let's put that in there. 22,815, and hit enter. And now we see that we can put up to 16,000 pounds of available cargo space. So let's go and put in 10,000 pounds. Let's say 10,500, just to be complicated. There we go. And enter. Okay, now when we do that, we get a payload weight of 40,600. Let's go back to X-Plane. And here's our payload weight right here. So we'll just slide the payload weight over to 40,600. 40,000, keep going, oh, too far. 40,877, that's as close as we can get. So if we come back to our program and we put in 40,877 in this yellow box, 40,877, that's what X-Plane told us, will tell us that our actual cargo weight should really be 10,777 to match that up. 10,777. And when we do that, we'll see that this number also comes up at 40,877. So this is how these calculation boxes work. It also makes sure that you can't put too many passengers on your plane, so we are getting passengers of 160 in our A320s that we're seeing in our pilot reports. Type in 160 and we'll see boxes start to turn red. So we don't want that happening. We'll take that, put 135 back in. Same goes if we're putting cargo weight of, let's say, 20,000 in the cargo weight. Everything turns red, tells you you're overloaded by 3,874 pounds. And you shouldn't be flying that plane like that. Put it back in, everything turns back to where it should again. So those little warning signs come up for you automatically. Okay, and that really explains this last box for you, and that will help you calculate all the proper weights and passengers and cargo that you need to put into your plane. Okay, just scrolling down a bit here, we have a place to put your flight plan. You can record that in here. We have down on the bottom here, this was asked by another pilot, if you do online flying, you'll need a place to put all your squawk codes, and that's what can go in all here, and again to record all of that. Rounding up the end here is these up here. These are all just quick links. You just click on these and they'll take you to SkyVector or FlightAware, SimRoutes, whatever your favorite flight planning, part of your flight planning to create flights with maps and so on can all be done through here. I'm going to touch on, there's two more things, last things here. I'm going to touch on the database updates and the release notes. Just give me 1 second and I'll be right back. Okay, touching on the last two things here, we have the release notes. I'm going to click on the release notes down here. Release notes will give you anything that's has been changed or done. It also gives you a place if you have updates to send in, you'd like to send in. You can send it to my email address here. These are a list of airports that I currently have in the computer. They're still missing lots of data and information, but at least they're all entered in. So if you enter in any names or ICAO codes of any of these airports here, the names should come up on the screen. And as time goes by, we'll get the rest of the information in. Down below here, these are all the versions that I've had put out, and any of the changes that I've done, you'll see pop up in this section here. Now, the last section that we've got is this database update. So when you click over here, if you've got a Payware aircraft, you can enter all this information into here, and I can add that Payware aircraft to this. So all of these, the flight planner with all the calculations in the right column will all work with your Payware aircraft or your freeware aircraft. There's an example of what's needed down here on the bottom. Looking over here, database, airport database update. So if you see an ICA code that you've got to put in for the ICA code, and it comes up with this information in here is blank, or the runways are blank, certainly you can go to the database updates and you can give me the active runways. It gives you an example of what's needed down here on the bottom. So if you want to fill all this in, just go back to here, grab my email address, and send that along, and I will get that into the next update that comes out. Okay, so that's really all there is to the Flight Planner software here. I hope you find this useful. If you have any concerns or questions, or if you do find any errors in here, I'll try to debug it as much as I could. But if you do find anything, please use the email address that's listed on the release notes page. Please do keep in mind that this software is free. It's no charge. You do need to have Excel to run it. Grab yourself Excel if you don't have it, and I'll be happy to send this software to you for no charge. Once I've got you on a mailing list or sending, I'll get you updates as they come out, or I'll post them on the net so that you can download it for free. Okay, so if you have any questions, and again, as I said, don't hesitate to contact me on my email. Hope you find this software helpful for you. You have a great day and safe skies.